All right, all right, all right, all right. At the best of five, I guess not really a series or best of. It's technically a best of five up against five members of ODM. I believe only three members, two or three members were actually there. A lot of them were busy, so typically it would be a best of five against multiple five different members, but you could take what you can get. This is Little Bird's fault for taking so long to do his trials. Um, this is all after quite a few of the members are just gone. Um, but let's start it off. Okay, we got first one is up is going to be ODM's Loopy. Let me just do this real quick. Post this here in the Berman League channel. Okay, should be good to go. First one up, we got Butcherbird up against Loopy. Butcherbird is going to be on Warriors of Chaos, one of their. I can't say it's one of their favorites. I don't know if it's one of their favorites, but I see them on Warriors of Chaos quite a bit. But it is Warriors of Chaos up against Dark Elves. And I believe the condition for this best of five was just like all of their ODM trials is if you go 0-5, then you face a punishment, which typically is in the form of some awful, disgusting profile picture, which you have to use for a week, or like a name change. I can't remember. I think it's either or. But either way, we do have Archaon, the Ever Chosen, on Warriors of Chaos. He's got Spirit Leech, Burning Head, Searing Doom, and of course he's got his Slayer of Kings, and then he has Fight or Die. Does he have his crown? No, he does not. He doesn't need it. He does not care. For the rest of the army, it's going to be a whole bunch of Marauders for the infantry, and then we have some Hellstriders in the back line, one in the center and then two on the flanks, and then we have two Rot Knights, one being the Rotting Riders, ROR, no surprise there. Pretty big staple in most of Warriors of Chaos matches, and Nurgle. We also have four Marauder Horsemen for skirmishing with, say, Scourge Runner Chariots, etc., etc. And obviously you need them to screen out the big dragon, which they typically bring, and that is going to be Malekith. He is going to be on his black dragon. A bit surprised. Typically I would see, obviously, the Supreme Sorceress on the black dragon, or I think mostly just the Supreme Sorceress. I can't think of anybody else I would expect in this matchup. But stand your ground and Gaze of Malekith plus Doombolt and Soul Stealer. So already I'm rooting for Loopy because Malekith is obviously the coolest lord choice for the Dark Elves aside from not Edgelord's Malice. What is his name? Rakarth? There we go. For the skirmishing, we do have three Scourge Runner Chariots, going to do pretty good into any of the large targets that the Warriors of Chaos bring, which typically they bring a lot of cav. We have Dread Spears for the infantry. We have some Cold One Dread Knights in the forest. And then we have some Dark Riders out in the flanks. And another Cold One Dread Knight back here in the center. Alright, let's see how this goes. Theoretically, the Scourge Runner Chariot should have some pretty good targets and be able to kite the Warriors of Chaos for quite a bit. The Hellstriders might just catch out the Dark Riders with that charge speed increase there, and they do catch them out. It's a very nice catch out for the Hellstriders. Same on the other flank as well, except the Dread Knights are here to help out on that fight. They do get that charge in. Not a fantastic charge, kind of limp actually. And now Archaon is going to go push over there with his other Hellstriders and the rest of his cav to really solidify that engagement and shut down those Dread Knights. That could be a very big loss for the Dark Elves. The Dread Knights do scare away the other Hellstriders, but now they have some Rot Knights in tow, and that's very bad for them. They're going to be singled out and surrounded just as the other one did. This is not looking great for the Dark Elves, but we'll see. We do have a Searing Doom going down as well, hitting those Dread Knights. So the Dread Knights were holding out for a bit, but it is just a bit too much up against an anti-large elite cav and some other elite cav, excuse me, other anti-large cav, which are not elite, but they do okay work. We just still have one single Dread Knight in the center. They can still do some decent work. We'll see. They get a charge in there. And I'm guessing it's pretty limp. It's okay. It's okay. A little, like a quarter or so from both Marauders. Not too bad for an elite cab, I suppose. Cold One Dread Knights, though, honestly kind of embarrassing considering it's Marauders. Cold One Dread Knights take this charge with these Hellstriders, but also are surrounded completely by Rot Knights and Marauders. We have some Dark Riders do come back to try to help out with this engagement. Doom Bolt going down, hitting those Rot Knights a little bit. Malekith is fighting, taking this engagement, hoping to possibly finish off these Rot Knights. He might just be able to, depending though. The Dread Knights are routed, the Dark Riders are routing as well, and now we have some Marauder Horsemen shooting in to him, which is not looking too great. But Rot Knights, yeah, Rot Knights are having a pretty good time there. Do they have ITP? I don't think they do, right? No, they don't. I think it's just their R-War variant, which might... No, they don't either. So they could definitely get terrorized by Malekith, but Malekith is surrounded. He's a pretty good fighter, however, so he might be fine. Scourge Runner Chariots continue to kite away those Marauder Horsemen. They're trying to catch it out, but the Scourge Runner Chariots are very, very fast. Not very fast, but they're just very good at getting away. The Marauder Horsemen take their charge there with the Golden Dread Knights just to tie them down so the Rot Knights can actually get a hold of them and finish the job. Malekith is fighting the Riding Riders. Obviously not the best engagement he wants to be in. Another Doom Bolt going down, hitting those Hellstriders and doing okay, but he definitely wants to get out of there as soon as possible. My issue is that what is going to deal with the Riding Riders? There's literally nothing left aside from Malekith, and I mean, it's not only just the Riding Riders, we have another Rot Knight as well. I think it's probably over for the Dark Elves. I mean, all of their expensive elite cav are gone. The two Dark Riders, yeah, they just have no mobility at all aside from the Scourge Runner Chariots. I guess if you want to say that the Scourge Runner Chariots could kite enough to slowly whittle down the mobility of the Warriors of Chaos, but I really don't think they have the ammunition to do so. I mean, this one has 5 left, this one has 4, and then again, that's all being shot into the skirmish cav of the Dark Elves, so excuse me, of the Warriors of Chaos. So, and then Malekith can't even get away from the Rotting Riders. They're constantly keeping him in place, unfortunately. But yeah, Doom Bolt going down, and Spirit Lich going down on Malekith as well, and slowly but surely he gets whittled down and finished off. Yeah, it's a best of 5 trial against Butcher Bird. Typically, this is how it's operated with any ODM recruit. So he has to win. He has to go up against 5 different ODM members typically, but in this case, I believe there's only 3 just playing the 5 matches because a lot of the ODM members weren't there around. As you know, as you can imagine, most of them are retired. But yeah, he has to win all 5. Or rather, he has to win at least 1 to not get their punishment, which they call. I don't know if he has to win a certain amount to be accepted into the ODM. I don't know how that entirely works. I don't know if he's already accepted before the trial, but I don't know. Nonetheless, that's how it goes. We have, okay, so that was the first match. Already 1 up for the Bird himself, up against Green TGO. We got Nurgle and Kislev. How are you doing, Amias? You doing all right? Right, Blood Pine Woods. Got Nurgle with the Nurgle. I think it's just a Nurgle fighter, right? The Nurgle Lord, Chaos Lord, and then up against a Ice Witch, who I believe is probably going to be on a Frostworm. No surprise there. Yep. Okay. For the Nurgle side, we do have a Chaos Lord of Nurgle going to be on a Rot Beast. A very, very good fighter on that Rot Beast. I've learned just very durable. especially so with Rot or Die. But just in general, I mean, fantastic stats: 63, 62, 540. Such a hard lord to take down. I've learned the hard way for sure. For the infantry, we do have Forsaken with the front line. For the caster, it's going to be Chaos Sorcerer, Loaded Chest, most likely Fleshy Abundance, and Stream of Corruption. We have multiple Furies in the sky. And then we have Rotting Riders and Frolics Bubonic, excuse me. The Forsaken are going to tear through any of the Kislev infantry, which is typically brought. Armored Cossers, actually, 80 armor. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think in a vacuum, I think the Armored Cossers should theoretically win that out after the Forsaken tire out. But I don't know. But typically, you don't see. You typically see quite a bit of the halberds. I forgot what they're called. Just yeah, and then the Forsaken will tear through them, obviously. So it makes sense to see this many Forsaken. For the Ice Witch of Kislev, she's going to be rocking the Snow Leopard summon, Hawks of Miska, and that'll be it. And then we have double Snow Leopards. We'll see how those guys do. Might be enough to deal with the Chaos Lord. For the infantry, it's going to be a whole bunch of armored Cossars, and then we have the Griffin Legion. It'll be both flanks. Yep, both flanks, Griffin Legion, and then we have the Mordheim Beowulfs Arwar because they have that Dark Tainted Blood, which can reduce any healing from the Nurgle side. And then for skirmishing, we have 3 Horse Archers, which will have to deal with the Chaos Furies constantly chasing them down, but I'm sure they'll be fine. They have massive range, 140. Some of the best skirmish cav in the game, in my opinion, if not the best, aside from Illyrian Reavers. So I think they'll be perfectly fine. Chaos Furies are not a big deal. I don't particularly know how this matchup goes. I would say Kislev might be a little bit favored, but I could be wrong. Either way, Chaos Furies is going to try to jump in on the horse cav for the horse cav with the skirmishing for the Kislev side, and they it's just a little bit of a tease. They back out as soon as there's even any sense of danger. Armored Cossars are shooting away. Theoretically, what are the targets that horse archers are going to be shooting up? Riding Riders have way too much armor. I mean, I suppose they could just shoot at Forsaken if they want, but it's 85 armor though. Either way, we do have some Griffin Legion jumping in there, doing okay against the Forsaken. Not too bad of a charge there. Ice Witch is going to jump in there as well, getting on top of the... What is she chasing after at the moment? She's going after the Chaos Lord, it seems like so. With the help of the Snow Leopards, the Riding Riders are going to take an engagement here with the Griffin Legion, take out their opportunity, see that they're in the forest, see they're alone, and try to shut them down. But it's also good for Kislev because in the meanwhile, those guys are far away from the battlefield. Mordheim's Beowulfs are going to get a jump in on the Forsaken. Rot or Die popped, putting that melee reflection up, which is pretty nice. Going to reflect some of that damage back to the Mordheim Beowulfs. The Rot Knights get a nice engagement there on the Griffin Legion, who do have their flanks to the Rot Riders. So Rot Knights, they're going to actually not take that much damage, surprisingly, but they are slowly picking away at them. I think it's Armored Cossars infantry that are kind of like body blocking some of them a bit. Horse Archers are going to start getting some flank shots into those Rot Knights, which should slowly add up. More Knight Beowulfs going to start chasing them down, try to hopefully reduce any healing that goes their way. The Chaos Lord, what is he going to do? He is going to try to maybe go after the Ice Witch, considering the Snow Leopards aren't nearby. Speaking of the Snow Leopards, where are they at the moment? Kind of just chasing after the caster for the Nurgle side. I'm not sure what that sound is, but it is repeating constantly. It's very annoying. Chaos Lord. We do get in Hawks of Miska going down, doing some pretty decent damage to the Rot Knights and throwing Frostbite on them, slowing them down to make sure they don't get away. Griffin Legion are in a pretty bad spot, however, but luckily their Bio Bridles plopped, so they're continuously fighting. Are they going to continue chasing after the Rot Knights? I don't think so. I think they're going to be sending something else that way to deal with them. Maybe the Horse Archers to chase them off. That could be pretty good value-wise. Griffin Legion are going to, at the moment, maybe get a nice little rear charge on the Forsaken. We'll see. But the Horse Archers do chase away the... What is that? Excuse me. Are they trying to get back the Mordheim Beowulfs? It seems so. Trying to protect them from the Chaos Furies. The Rotting Riders in pretty good shape at the moment, dealing with the Ice Witch and both the Snow Leopards. One of them is about to rout. The other one is trying to fight with the Snow Leopard at the Chaos Caster at the moment. But Snow Leopard is obviously more specialized for a bonus versus large fighter, so not gonna have such an easy time fighting an infantry caster like that. Spell being cast at the moment is that another Hawks of Isha going down, or yes, it is. The Riding Riders are gonna be able to get out in time, and luckily it doesn't do friendly fire damage, so it doesn't really matter. But it is unfortunate that it doesn't get much value. Riding Riders might just end up. Their leadership is kind of tanking at the moment, but they might just stabilize. I'm not sure. They do get the charge off, which just gives them that plus 15 from charging, which is very nice. Balance of power is looking to be a bit tied, maybe more so in Kislev's flavor, but just a tinge. But I think it's going pretty good, pretty decent for Nurgle, honestly. Do we have any Griffin Legion left? We do have a single Griffin Legion, it seems, that can deal with the Riding Riders. But even then, I mean, they're not exactly specialized for dealing so, but Riding Riders can only deal with so much when they're surrounded like this. But I mean, look how good they're doing at the moment. 1739 in terms of value. Just doing, that's what I forgot to do. I forgot to look over the value from the last game. That's silly. But the Riding Riders, yeah, just doing absolutely incredible. Griffin Legion routing off. The Mordheim Beowulfs are gone as well. Infantry left for the Nurgle side. We do have some Forsaken, which are trying to catch up to the Armored Cossars. This one will end up losing that fight, and same with this one, most likely, considering Armored Cossars are so healthy. More the Riding Riders do get an engagement here with the Horse Archers, and yeah, they're just so incredibly durable at the moment. They're healing up so much damage that the Kislev side is throwing at them. I mean, to the point where I think they're probably most of them with balance of power at the moment for the Nurgle side. I suppose the Chaos Lord is also a pretty big chunk of it as well, but Ice Witch is looking to be in a pretty bad spot, and if once the Ice Witch falls, I think that'll be the end for Kislev. I mean, the same case here. Kislev losing a lot of their mobility engagements kind of dictated the rest of the game, because the Riding Riders were able to just run around freely throughout the map, doing whatever they pleased. The Ice Witch has no healing, obviously, so she's not going to be able to deal with both the Riding Riders and the Chaos Lord with that state of HP. Yeah, every so once in a while, the Chaos Lord just gets a nice little chip and damage there on the Lord, and again, they're insanely good fighter for their cost. So, hey, Kukino, Kukiniko. Hanging in, hectic life, not enough time for games. Yeah, I haven't seen you play it too much, but to be fair, I haven't played too much either. So, if you're around, we should definitely play some games sometime. It's always fun playing against you. I think Kislev favor, but for Nurgle it is playable. Yeah, I think for sure it's playable for Nurgle. I don't think it's by any stretch of the imagination a bad matchup for Nurgle. I think it's pretty odd, just maybe a tinge in favor of Kislev, like 60. But I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. It's hard to figure out Kislev right now, because they went from being incredibly OP to start being played again after a bunch of their nerfs. Like, you didn't see Kislev much at all because they were mostly banned before all their nerfs. So I could see more Kislev matches once again, just to really judge. But in theory, I would think Kislev still has the favor. But it seems Butcherbird is determined to prove me wrong here. Nurgle just pretty much did really, really well in that match. 1651 here on the Chaos Lord, doing it pretty solid. Again, just such a fantastic high value yield Lord option for Nurgle. I wish like other factions had such a good Lord value wise, just to, like, not every faction, but some factions like Greenskins. Like, Greenskins have such a struggle with leadership and do not have a durable Lord at all, like the Chaos Lord of Nurgle. But to be fair, durability is Nurgle's thing. So it's good. It's really good that they have such a strong, cheap Lord like that. For the rest of the infantry, for the rest of the units value, 1,000 value here on the Forsaken, 734, 745, and 667. They did pretty solid, even against Armored Cossars. I think they're. Hmm, I want to test it in a vacuum just to see how that goes. I'd assume that the Forsaken would tire out, just like I said before, but I still think they would do a pretty good job at it with the engagement. 2615 here on the Rotting Riders and 511 on the Rot Knights. This one obviously didn't get that much value here, but the it's okay because the RY version always makes up for it. 2615 is pretty insane though. To be fair, they're extremely expensive, so they have to really carry Nurgle on their back there in the game. 1738 for the Ice Switch. I really don't like the double snow leopards at all. Maybe there's something to it that I don't know about, but I really hate snow leopards. I think they're so incredibly bad. Um, Simply because one, they're just such a small target, so they can easily get screened out. Unlike, and they can't get out of it. Unlike, say, Karanak. Karanak is a force, is a menace for a reason. He has the mass and the speed to just dictate the battle, running rampant throughout the field. While the snow leopards kind of just like get chump blocked a lot of the time by pretty much nothing. Like they get stuck and they barely hit or do any damage. So, yeah, I can see some possibility for using them, but I don't like them there at all. I don't see why you wouldn't go double Frostworm. I know it's kind of too meta and too generic, but I'd assume that they wouldn't have any. I say that, but I've seen games recently where even the double Frostworm struggles against the Rot Knight ROR or Rot Knights in general. So maybe that's why. But let's see everything else. Pretty okay. 1013. Um, Nothing too spectacular value wise. 907 though, and 1,000 on this one is pretty good for armored cossars. Don't typically see that much value on that infantry. 1,070 on the Griffin Legion as well. One of them had such an awful engagement with the Rot Knights and Chaos Furies, but the other one still managed to hang on pretty good, fighting back the other Rot Knights and Chaos Furies in their back line. And then the Mordheim Beowulfs did all right. They're just overall very staple in this matchup. It doesn't matter if they get too much value. It's just their debuff in general is just fantastic against such a heal-centric faction like Nurgle. Like Pestigors in this match. Yeah, so what would you typically go for? Mostly is it like a full front line of Pestigors? And who would you bring for the Lord? Same Lord? Chaos Lord? I know Kukino, I know you play I'm sure I'm butchering your name, I'm sorry. But I know you play a lot of Nurgle, right? So what would you go for? Is it something very similar? I think I do like Pestigors a little bit more, yeah. That missile resistance that they get is really nice, and then that debuff that they also have is incredibly good. Would you bring Furies as well? I wasn't sure about the Furies, but you know, Butcher Bird is obviously a much better player than I am, so much better player. But all right, let's move on to the third game. It is 2-0 for the bird here. Let me put that on the screen actually. ODM not looking too good so far. And let's put this. All right. We got Loopy once again. So typically you'd see Chaos Lord plus Nurgle plus Pesties, Marauder Great Weapons, and also good or Forsaken 2 Rot Knights. Okay. Marauder Great Weapons or Forsaken. Yeah, Marauder Weapons I can see doing pretty good there against anything Kislev brings. And 2 Rot Knights. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. Yeah, so just a little bit of changes. Mostly being the Pestigors over the Forsaken. I see. Good to know. Good to know. I wonder. I need to do some testing in terms of what Kislev would bring there, because again, I haven't seen enough. I've only seen a few matches with him up against Nurgle, and I don't know exactly what the right answer is for dealing with some of the mobility of the Nurgle side. But we do have Khorne here for Butcher Bird. He is going to be rocking Valkia with Spear of Sleipnir. Excuse me. They're going to be rocking Spear of Sleipnir with Demon's Shield as well. For the rest of the army, it's going to be 3 Minotaurs with great weapons. They should do fantastic here against the Grand Cathayan side, as they typically have a lot of opportune choice, depending on obviously who's playing them. In this case, they might have Butcherbird might have expected a massive, a tight little box formation like that, but we'll see. Bloodletters, we got 4 of them in total, excuse me, 5 of them in total. I cannot count. They're going to be rushing Grand Cathay, of course, and trying to chop through those peasants as fast as possible. We got multiple Chaos Furies in the sky as well. And then for the Grand Cathayan side, we do have Mr. Yuan Bo here. What has he got here for us? He's got Jade Shield, Shem's Burning Gaze, and Net of Amnentok, plus Arcane Conduit and his Armor of Dragon's Gaze, which I've actually never taken a look at. Look at a 10% ward save, which is pretty nice on allies nearby, and on itself, and then leadership bonus plus ITP. That's very, very good. I never understood why he was taken sometimes, but I can see why now. Now, we also have a Mr. Satang as well. He's just going to be base kit, doesn't have any of his items or anything like that. No surprise there. He's going to do pretty good against shooting at Minotaurs, Chaos Knights if they're brought, which I don't think they typically would be, but on the off chance, or like a Skull Cannon. But for the rest of the game, it's going to be a very filthy, disgusting Grand Cathayan box here. A whole bunch of spears and halberds, including a single Ironhill Gunner in the center with a Sky Junk. Very filthy, very, very, very filthy. And then an Emperor's Crowman up in the sky. You got those magical attacks. They can fight back the Chaos Furies a little bit. And they got those bombs. But they want to obviously stay away from the Chaos Furies in a 2-to-1 scenario. They would definitely lose that. And maybe stay close to their Ironhill Gunners. But we do have that Satang ability popped. And the off chance that Khorne had anything hidden. Which obviously they do not. But, what? Oh, right, it's the Sky Junk. I was like, where the hell did I miss the Fire Rain rocket? Yeah, the Sky Junk is shooting away at the Bloodletters. I can already imagine the Sky Junk is going to have a bit of difficulties with this amount of air force from the Khorne side, but we do have the Ironhill Gunners there, which might just get wiped out by the... Oh my god, the Spear Sleipnir just deletes them. Yep, that makes sense. But luckily for them, they still have 90 models. Not that it matters, though, because Chaos Furies is going to jump down there and ruin the rest of their day and send them packing. But the Halberds are there to possibly save them. I don't think it matters. I think it's looking pretty bad already. The Emperor's Crowmen are going to have a terrible, terrible time fighting 2 Furies, but they will put in some work in return. They do not care. Maybe they can get their bombs off on one of the Bloodletters. Maybe that'll do something, but I don't know. We do have Yuan Bo looking for a good target. Those Ironhill Gunners are not going to be able to come back there outside of the box. Satang is taking another shot there at the Minotaurs. Does pretty good there. He does take out 2 models, I think. 1 or 2 models there with that initial shot. Very nice. Bloodletters take a bombardment from this Sky Junk, a bit memey there. It doesn't really do a whole lot of damage, but Minotaurs are going to be sent into Halberds, because what else do they have the opportunity to do, really? I mean, that charge animation and those collision attacks are going to do pretty good and knock around those Halberds a bit and disrupt their formation. But Yuan Bo is fighting some Chaos Furies at the moment. I would probably... I mean, there's no saving the Ironhill Gunner, so he's kind of wasted on at these Chaos Furies at the moment, which would be much better, say, fighting Valkia or something. I don't know. Valkia is such a small target. I don't think he has the greatest targets at all, because there's just so many Minotaurs that he has to be extremely careful at what he takes a fight with. But either way, I think it's looking pretty awful for Grand Cathay, and no surprise there considering the builds. Sky Junk is looking pretty okay, however, at 4,700 HP still, but it hasn't been able to shoot really at all. It's just stuck in combat with the Chaos Furies, and obviously not a great combatant at 8 and 8 melee attack and melee defense. But yeah, Yanbo is trying to get away from the Chaos Furies, and somehow he's just like moving as slow as possible, like a freaking slug on the ground, trying to get away from the Chaos Furies. And now the Minotaurs are probably going to get a good surround on him as well. Yep, he's gonna be forced into this engagement, and things are not going to be too great for Yonbo. It might be better to send him back into human, or I guess his humanoid form, because it's not looking great for him in that dragon form. Nice little spear of Slapnir going down, basically obliterating those peasant spearmen, deleting it from the entire game. Chaos Fury somehow almost losing this engagement with this guy junk is pretty hilarious, gotta say. But yeah, Yanbo is trying his best to slip away from this. But yeah, it's not looking too great. At least Satang is able to get some, like, I want to say back shots into the Minotaurs. But also at the same time, he's surrounded by two different versions of them. And then we have Bloodletters as well. As much as he wants to do his little ninja jumps there, his little anime jumps, he's not going to help him at all. And he's done for. Grand Cathay is donezo. Their box got broken so incredibly easy by those Bloodletters, and Valkyria just farmed value from dealing with that Sky Junk. Though to be fair, the Sky Junk still got an insane amount of value at 1686. My God, that's impressive. Give notification that you're streaming to the server. I didn't even know you were. Hey, for Cathay box, that is not. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Compared to like some of the more dirty, degenerate Cathay boxes I've seen, that's not that bad. It's really nothing. I just, I just find Cathay boxes filthy, and it's funny to call them that. But I don't know. I probably should have done that, huh? Let me. If you want to post it in the server in the ODM server for me, let me do. Feel free. That'd be sick. But yeah, I only posted it in the Vermin link server. But let's look at the values here. 1256 here on Valkyria. No surprise there. An insanely value-centric lord there. No surprise. Just really good spears of Flapnir against a box. That is why she's brought so often, aside from maybe Scarbrand. Scarbrand has obviously the really good ability to rampage any units outside of the Grand Cathayan box. Really good at tearing apart boxes, but so is Valkyria. She's very cheap, and those spears do insanely well. And as we all know, Grand Cathayan players can't micro fast enough to dodge the spears of Slapnir. No, I'm kidding. I can't say that considering Olaf the Moose is an insanely good Grand Cathayan player, and he has pretty fantastic micro as well. So 1,099 and 619 here, and 521 for the Minotaurs. Obviously, they don't have the most opportune targets against this particular build. Probably expected more Jade Lancers, etc. But they still got some pretty good value, especially considering they could deal with Satang. Everything else, Jade Dragon here, not too great of a showing for him. 641 there for Mr. Satang. Yeah, not too incredible. Hey, one of the Celestial Dragon Guard at 1100 value. Look at that, 1200 almost. Hey, that's pretty good. Hey, I mean, mostly probably from fighting Minotaurs, killing Minotaurs, but you know, yeah, those Iron Hail Gunners got like a single volley off, like a partial volley off before they died. Feel bad for them. As soon as you saw the builds, I kind of, yeah, you should have expected that the Iron Hail Gunners would not last more than like probably 10 seconds. 456 and 1686. Yeah, this guy junk. Honestly, I'm wondering what they got a lot of their value from. Were they really able to continuously shoot while they were stuck in melee with the Chaos Furies, and I missed some of those volleys because I only saw them shoot a few times. Maybe that was just enough, but maybe they also picked up value in melee against fighting Valkyria and the Chaos Furies. I don't know. That's pretty insane though. I mean, 141 kills. So. Yeah, Vermin Sucker. Yeah, yeah. I should have posted in the ODM ones as well. I mean, it is literally an ODM trial, right? So sad I missed out on casting. Was it not Curio? It's Kimchi Warrior. They also did their trial recently, but that was in February, and I just kind of missed out on that because CA just released so many patches and updates that it just flew by me, unfortunately. But all right, Butcherbird at 3-0 so far. This is ODM. What's going on here? I mean, please tell me TGO and Loopy? TGO and Loopy are just having to carry this. Where the hell were Sexy Boy and freaking I can't even think of his name right now. That troll. What is his name? Alfredino number 2. I forgot his name. But Seagulls, there we go. Seagulls. I was drawing a blank. I was cashing a blank check. Seagulls, where the hell were you, man? You were supposed to put up a fight here because it's not looking too great for the rest of the ODM. At least Alfredino has an excuse. He's retired. Yeah, let me move this up a little bit. Might as well just call Seagulls Alfredino Jr. because that's essentially what he is. He's such a troll. But all right. Back at it again, and we got, this time, Butcherbird on the vampire counts. Gonna be rocking a Heinrich Kemmler on foot. He has got Raise Dead, Invocation in the Heck, and Dance Macabre, with, of course, Krell and Undeath Resurgent. For the rest of the army, going to be a whole bunch of Crypt Horrors and some nasty zombie alliance with Graveguard with great weapons, which will do, obviously, pretty fantastic into anything the Tomb Kings throw at them in terms of infantry. And especially considering that they always bring the Kepler Guard in this matchup, or at least generally they always bring this Kepler Guard in this matchup. So the which Graveguard with great weapons should do great into them. Vargeist is up in the air as well, and then we have, is it a single Vargulf? I think so. A single Vargulf, which is going to be help challenging any of the constructs that the Tomb King side bring, like the Hero Titan. But I think the Hero Titan might honestly win that. I don't know. Either way, or the or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not used as a construct beat 'em up. Maybe it's used to chase after like Arkan or something. I don't know. But for the Tomb King side, we do have Mr. Arkan the Black. He's gonna be on his chariot. What in the meme is this? Loopy is memeing. Is this TGO or is this, I can't remember. Who did I say it was? I think this feels like a TGO thing. This definitely feels like a very TGO thing because Loopy just played. So Spirit Leech and Strand's Burning Gaze plus Spirit Conduit. It's going to be the double Spirit Leech thing going on, or the triple Spirit Leech thing going on, considering that both Higher Titans have Spirit Leeches as well. Just going to try to cheese out the Lord there for the vampire counts. But we have a bunch of skeleton warriors and spears on the flanks as well, and then some horsemen in the back line, and then some more spearmen as well. And then we have my favorite unit, the Eyes of the Desert, Spokor Stalker Arwar. Just such a great unit overall. Pretty much into most matchups, if not all, especially vampire counts. So, and then the Kepler Guard, of course. They will blend through anything the vampire counts throw at them aside from the Graveguard. They'll struggle a little bit against the Graveguard, but base Graveguard they'll win against. Great weapons, I don't think so. Kyron Kremler already getting Spirit Leeched. He's not a vampire, so he can't heal himself, unfortunately for him. But we do have double Hero Titans as well, and then we have a Necrotect, which with that just the healing is presumably yes. Wait, what is that? He has Wrath of the Creator as well, and he has items on him. Okay, this is definitely like TGO. Embraces of the Sun and Wrath of the Creator. Embraces of the Sun leaves kids blinded, which is pretty nice, but it's on the Necrotech, which you typically don't want him in melee, so you know, kind of useless. But another Spirit Leech going down on the Kemmler. He's having a terrible time. A nice little volley there from the Eyes of the Desert on those Cryptors, doing some pretty good value there. And that initial shot, just like look at that. One initial volley there, one model dead. That's very good value. Yeah, the Tomb Kings players going to send out their infantry and start disrupting these weird little conga lines that Vampire Counts players always send their zombies in, for good reason, but we won't go over that. The Vargeist do jump in there and try to catch out the Skeleton Horsemen, but we do have the Kepler Guard here to possibly screen them out, though the Vargeist can just fly up in the air. And Van Hel's Dance Macabre is giving them a pretty big speed boost at 115 speed, and then a massive melee attack bonus. Kemmler is getting sniped out completely. Another Shen's Burning Gaze hitting Kemmler right in the freaking face. He is having an awful day. Arkin the Black just rolling dirty on this chariot. What is he going to be doing? Just probably rolling around, trying to avoid any actual combat scenarios. The Vargolf, what is he doing at the moment? Just kind of beating down, or rather fighting away with the Harry Titan, I think. But not really the greatest combat choice for him. The Vargeist are beating up the rest of those Skeleton Horsemen, and now that the mobility is shut down for the Tomb Kings, they're going to have to rely heavily on their Hyrule Titans and their Eyes of the Desert. But what's going to protect the Eyes of the Desert, considering all their infantry are tied up and all of their mobility is gone? Nothing can protect them. They have to fight. They have to protect themselves. Cetra can... Arkin could do something, I guess, but not really. The only thing he's doing is getting hit in the butt by the Vargolf as his own Eyes of the Desert body block him. And now the Vargeist is going to jump in there on Arkin, and we'll see what Arkin can do here. Can he slip out of their Hyrule Titans? Kind of just wasting a lot of their value. They're just fighting zombies and Graveguard and not really doing too much. Now fighting Cryptoids at the very least. They're going to get some value from that. Eyes of the Desert, surrounded and alone. I would say, well, not alone. They do have Arcane, I guess, and the Necrotech, but they're not going to have a good time here. And I think they're probably going to crumbling here soon, as Arcane doesn't have any way to heal them at all. But we do have a Necrotech, which has he used one of his heals yet? He has, and that might partially kill them up just enough. It's actually used on them right now. It's a 0.8% heal, so it's not too bad. It's keeping them in the fight, keeping their leadership stable, fighting off those Cryptoids. And look at that, the Cryptoids did get destroyed. They are crumbling and will be gone soon, but we do have another one there. Where's that? That's a Vargolf, excuse me. The Vargolf is there. It's being surrounded by Ushapti there. Ushapti something got brought in there, and now the Vargolf is going to probably be able to push past him theoretically, but every time it tries to get pushed past him, it gets hit in the back, which is like staggering them. It just got knocked over by a freaking Ushapti. This massive bat-like creature just getting knocked over is pretty hilarious. But yeah, Hyrule Titans are just kind of just melting away these, or rather fighting through these zombies, trying to finish them off. Crow got summoned just before Kemmler got killed. He still has about 2 minutes that he can be up and fighting, but maybe his ideal targets is the Hyrule Titans. Maybe not to go over here because those units are too mobile and Crow will just never catch up to them. So maybe just sending them over to fight the Hyrule Titan would be a good choice. Help out those Cryptors, because in the end game, these massive health pool SEs are going to be a real issue if they stay that relatively healthy. Argolf is now getting Spirit Leech to death. It is being beaten, but will it stabilize? Will it stay down to -10? Now it is crumbling. The Eyes of the Desert are managed to sneak away from them, but they do have bonus versus large with those halberds there. So even if the Vargol does catch on to them, that Vargol is going to need a lot more help, and that's where the zombies and the Graveguard come in. But the issue is that Arkin's just going to be rolling 30 through him. Look at him on his chariot. Okay, maybe I was memeing a little bit too much here. Maybe memeing on the Arkin's chariot too much there. Maybe it's actually pretty good, as you say. I say that, and he has seven kills on that chariot. But really, it's just very mobile. TGO does take strange things on occasion. TGO does sometimes meme a bit too much into the sun and takes very strange builds. You'll see on occasion like the ODM chat talk about that, but yeah, generally his builds are pretty okay. It's just that like on occasion he'll bring some weirdly awkward building, and like you can automatically assume that's a TGO build. Eyes of the Desert do manage to make a way despite having no more mobility left for the Tomb Kings. Sniping out Kemmler was such insane value, and being able to they just played incredibly well with their Eyes of the Desert, keeping them away from the Vargeist. And even when the Vargeist were there, you had, say, you had, say, like the Hyrule Titans, or you say you had Arkin, they're helping deal with it. Like the Fate of Bunus, I imagine I missed one, probably helped out a lot with the engagements that were shutting down the Eyes of the Desert, because the Eyes of the Desert were severely important, and yeah, TJo's protected them really, really well. Interesting matches, but I have to go to bed. We're doing very well. See you later. Yeah, thanks for hopping in. Thanks for hopping in, Cookie now. Appreciate you being here. Have a good one. Have a good sleep. The braces on Necrotech is for cool. Just take him inside and infantry unit so he's protected a bit and makes that unit punch much harder. I think it only applies to him is the issue. But I get what you're saying. When he's in combat, it'll apply the blindness to the infantry that he's currently fighting, which means that the infantry that he's surrounded by will do much better. I get what you're saying. I understand now. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. Typically, though, I try to keep Necrotech away from combat simply because, like, even when he's surrounded by like infantry or something that can, the only thing I would specifically rely on to protect him is like some constructs, because in infantry, obviously they can be like pushed through and he can be killed very quickly because he has such a low health pool. So I don't like putting him in infantry engagements a lot, or rather surrounded by infantry a lot, because of that situation particularly. He's just kind of very brittle, in my opinion. So I like to keep him typically back further with constructs that can actually protect them. But I can see what you're saying. I can see, like, maybe if you go for like an infantry rush with Tomb Kings against a faction, and you throw him in with like some the Kepler Guard or something, I can imagine that helps out insanely well. You have like Cetra causing blindness on an infantry engagement elsewhere, and then same on the other side of the map, which can help you collapse a flank really quickly. Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure. Yeah, Kemmler just got, oh my god, that poor Kemmler. He got absolutely deleted. Obviously the Great Guard, not expecting probably double Higher Titan, and even if they did, I think they still probably would have been brought because Graveguard are just insanely good at. Uh, actually, what two counts bringing this? Because four Graveguard seems like too much, but I don't know. Four Graveguard great weapons seem too much, but I don't know. I don't typically see this matchup either because it's such a strained matchup. But a 386, 37, 706. I imagine the Cryptors would be enough a majority of the time. Same with multiple Vargeist, but I could be wrong. Vargolf didn't do that great either, 646, and yeah, not a whole lot of great value on some of these more monstrous units that had were supposed to yield higher value. Those MVP units. We have for Mr. Arkin on his little chariot there, 1633 here. I'm sure TJ will probably um, try to enlighten me on the chariot there, but I mean, I'm not gonna gloat with it. I'm not gonna push up the chariot there. I'm not gonna say it's good just because of that match. That was just purely spells there, Arcane. You're pure spells, buddy. 1633, he did pretty good. I imagine I probably missed a Buna once, twice, but yeah, pretty good spirit leeches. A lot of high valuable targets with the Vargolf and with Gamler. And then if they Buna'd anything, Buning one of the Grave Guards could be pretty good value there. 577 here on the Necrotech. Mostly just there to give that healing. So good to see any value at all. And then the Higher Titans, pretty good. You're gonna obviously, that's one of the things counts I've always struggled with, in my opinion. At least as far back as I know, it could be different, but I can't imagine why it would be, considering counts don't get updates. CA, please give counts something. Thank you. They've always struggled with SE spam. They've never had reliable anti-large. Cryptors have always typically filled that role because the Terra Goose, though they were menaces in Warhammer 2, are not great in Warhammer 3, unfortunately. 1592 and yeah, 1088. Yeah, just again, really good bounce spells, cheesing. Hmm. would they still be as valuable up against a vampire lord, which can heal themselves? I imagine so. I imagine so because it would dictate whether or not that vampire lord can en- engage, take certain engagements. I don't know, but look, I don't know if TGO just knew that Butcherbird likes to bring Kemmler or what, but they did incredibly well there. Yeah, the infantry wise, yeah, I can't expect too much. Kepler Guard did 981, not too bad, and 1664 here in the Eyes of the Desert, also really good. No surprise there. I'm very surprised that they weren't able to be shut down there by the Vampire Count side, considering the engagement that they were in. But that's just how sturdy they are. Like when you bring them with healing, and then it's just not only that, their own melee stats and armor just makes them very hard to take down, even in good engagements like that. Yeah, not looking too great here for Butcherbird. ODM is see me. No, we finally got a win. Excuse me, I got that completely wrong. We finally got a win here for ODM. DGO bringing out the double Hero Titan, solidified a win there finally for ODM. About freaking time. Now, can we get a second win? Can ODM get a second win, or will Butcherbird just kind of run over us ODM? We'll see. We shall see. All right, we have Britonia for Butcherbird, and Butcherbird is pretty good on Britonia, so I'm not surprised here to see that Britonia in this final match. And I don't think he'll struggle at all against the Wood Elves, considering he has a lot of experience playing as the Wood Elves and against them. So I think he knows exactly what to bring. Or I keep saying he. I don't know if they're. Anyways, Sword of Corn here and Lion Shield plus Stand Your Ground will be what the Mr. King Lunkar here has. I couldn't think of his name. King Leon Redfield of Resident Evil. We got Peasant Bowman in the back line with mostly fire arrows, probably, I assume. One pox arrow. Always good to have that bit of poison. We have peasant mobs in the front line, and then we have a whole massive amount of cav. That's typically what you want to bring against Wood Elves. Wood Elves just struggle heavily against mass heavy cav. So, despite their our Wild Riders being as good as they are, and despite how good Dirthu is, they just they've struggled against massive heavy cav. But we do have Dwellers Below and Earthblood for the caster there. Going to be healing up Mr. Leon and your heavy cav. Which, speaking of the heavy cav, we do have double Grail Knights plus Knights of the Realm. A whole bunch of Knights of the Realm. Very classic unit for the Bretonian side. For the Wood Elves, we do have Mr. Dirthu. Mr. Hardwood is here to teach those dirty French people a lesson. Dirthu, Flock of Doom has Flock of Doom and Sword of Death plus that's it. Does he have a no, he doesn't. Okay. I was looking for what is it called? I don't remember what it's called. The Beast AoE, not AoE, passive. Either way, Dryads will be the front line, including the Wraiths of the Frozen Hearth. And then we have Zotes in the back line. 3 Zotes? What is this? Huh? Okay. Loopy is memeing so hard. Loopy, what is going on here? 3 Zotes? Why? Why are you doing this to me? And then we have double Glade Riders with Spears on the left-hand flank, and then more Glade Riders with Spears on the right-hand flank. Zotes are so meme, dude. They're so freaking expensive for no reason, and they just... they have such not great stats. 30, 40. I mean, yeah, they have a massive amount of bonus for Solar at 26, but they're just extremely expensive and more of like a defensive type unit rather than like an aggressive unit. I can't imagine they're gonna do well, but we'll see. We'll see. Anytime I bad talk a unit, they do good in the match. So it's already taking some fire from these poor little peasant archers, and they're getting some pretty decent value off of shooting those dragon ogre reskins. The ground knights are gonna get a charge there on the dryad, and it's pretty pitiful charge there actually. What the hell was that? They didn't do anything against the dryads. Guess it's because they were tied up by their own units. Zotes and Mr. Dirthu are going to make a big push here in the center, collapse those Bretonnian peasants, and start making their way into the back line as fast as possible. We do have some spearmen being thrown to stop those that dryad advance. We'll see if they can hold on for long against Mr. Dirthu. So it's taking engagement here with the Grell Knights, and they do catch out a few models, but they're going to be able to continue making their way brute force path to take out the engagement here with the Glade Riders, support that engagement with those Knights of the Realm. The other Knights of the Realm chasing away the Glade Riders, gonna make it pretty much impossible for the Wood Elves to try to shut down the range components for the Bretonnian side. Over here, we do have some more Glade Riders, which are way too far out and definitely need to get on top of those archers as soon as possible. Mr. Leon Kur here is shutting down those dryads, and Zotes get terror routed by Mr. Birdman. He's doing pretty good there, and he's not going to have any issue with those Zotes. Now he's going to help try to possibly support this cav engagement, or maybe he's going to turn around, do something else. I'm not sure. Zotes and the dryads continue pushing in here and are going to be able to shut down those peasant bowmen, but peasant bowmen are used to this. They will come back eventually. These Zotes and the Race of the Frozen Heart catch up these Grell Knights. Might be able to shut them down, though, with the help of that Frostbite from the Race of the Frozen Heart. But they're slowly getting away here is the issue. And now the Knights of the Realm are going to support them, get a side charge there, and the Grell Knights will be able to just turn around once they get away and get another charge in there. Now King Leon Kur is going to help as well. We will see. I think that engagement might just turn around for Bretonnia and shut down one of those Zotes. That would be really good value there. But otherwise, I think it's fairly even at the moment. Dirthu and we have some Zotes in the center looking pretty healthy. The other one, however, down to 6 models, looking very, very bad here, being thrown in to fight Bretonnian archers. And the Bretonnian archers probably could end up winning that engagement, I would almost say. But I think they're going to get terror routed. I think the Flock of Doom and all that is going to terror rout them. It's going to be enough. Dryads take a Dwellers Below, slowing them down a little bit and doing some damage. Not too bad. Doesn't do insanely well value-wise. The Glade Riders, and this engagement did turn around as I expected. A little bit, I think. Grell Knights holding on for dear life against the Zotes, and actually I would say they're winning that engagement with the Zotes, despite the Race of the Frozen Heart helping. Those Zotes are going to actually terror rout thanks to King Leon here, and though we do see some Glade Riders going over to support, try to help out, but I think it's a little too late there. I think those Glade Riders are not going to enjoy that engagement at all, especially considering the Grell Knights actually got a charge in return. So we definitely don't want those Glade Riders taking that charge. And as you can see, yeah, just being absolutely melted. Over here in the center here, one of these Zotes gets finished off. We do have some Grell Knights still relatively healthy, and same with the Knights of the Realm. So now I'm pretty worried for the Wood Elves. We have a single Zote unit and Dirthu to carry the rest of the match. The Glade Riders are obviously not going to have an easy time dealing with this massive amount of heavy cav left, but they will be able to dictate some of these engagements here, catch out a unit of Knights of the Realm, for example, and yeah, you definitely need that mobility there. Despite the Glade Riders being outmatched combat-wise, you need that mobility to be able to stop from Bretonnia from dictating all the engagements. But yeah, the Zotes surprisingly holding out still for a very long time. I mean, imagine they probably gave themselves the flesh to stun, giving them 60% Viz res, but the Grell Knights do deal magical damage wherever they're at. Oh, I thought they did magical damage, huh? What the heck? Why did they not do magical damage? Excuse me? There we go. Wait, what was I looking at? I think I was looking at the Knights of the Realm on accident. That's probably what was happening. I'm about to say, like, what the heck? Because they're Grell Knights for a reason. Yeah, Zotes going to be making their way up through this big old death box, or should I say Dirthu box. And this is probably obviously their Wood Elf's best bet here. Try to stick close to Durthu. Papa Durthu is going to try to guide you to a win here. And they're just kind of, right now, finishing off the Zotes, riding off the rest of the unit, taking any engagements that they can. And we do have a massive engagement here with Mr. King Leon here and the Knights of the Realm as they finish off one of the Glade Riders and the second one as well. Both of them Terror Route. So the ability is now completely gone for the Wood Elves. They might be able to come back still, but at that point, 10 models and 13 models is pretty much nothing. But they are in close proximity to those Knights of the Realm. Might be able to get a rear charge on them, but then in return, Grow Knights get a rear charge on those Zotes. They're going to turn around. King Leon's Mr. Little debuff there, his Sword of Crone is worn off, however, so maybe this engagement won't be too bad for the Zotes. I would say that, but the issue is that there's a bunch of fodder here as well, including the peasant mobs. So the Zotes are going to be occupied hitting those guys as well. A lot of their hits might be tied up by those. But we also have some Dryads here as well helping out. So this is a pretty big engagement for both sides, as you can imagine. Durthu is getting some pretty good hits there in King Leon. We get another Flock of Doom going down. Very nice value there on hitting all of these Bretonnian side units. But now here's the issue. Zotes are terror routed because they have no ITP. They only have cause fear. So they're going to get terror routed easily by King Leon, even though Durthu is here. Papa Durthu is here helping out with their engagement. They are going to run scared. They're going to run for the hills back to the forest. Knights of the Realm chasing off those Frays of the Frozen Heart. The Dryads still in pretty decent condition, but yeah, Bretonnia is looking to be the one to take this, as there's just a pretty good amount of units here left that Durthu is just not going to be able to solo his way through, especially while King Leon is just so healthy. Going to speed things up a little bit here. Dryad's going to take an engagement here with the Grow Knights. And obviously take a bit of damage from that. Another Sword of Death and Flock of Doom going down, doing some pretty good damage. That's what the Bretonnian player is doing, just kind of sticking away from blobbing up, so the Wood Elf player doesn't get a pretty good amount of value from their Flocks of Doom. And kind of just refreshing the charges there on King Lewin. King Lewin can keep himself fresh. Like if he stays up in the air, get some of his vigor back, every time he charges in, he's going to have a lot better potential at dealing pretty good damage to Durthu. And Durthu obviously can't charge back at King Lewin, so he gets another charge in there, another hit. Not going to do a whole lot actually there on that first hit, if he even hit. But on the second, on this hits afterwards, going to do pretty good value there. And yeah, now the army loss is going to start to kick in there, and the Wood Elves will lose it out. So let's see here, 1672 here on Mr. King Lewin, doing pretty good work there. Leon Kerr, pretty much holding Bretonnia on his back. Thank else 964 13. Okay, look at that. 1723 there on the Grow Knights and 2549. Obviously, my god, the Zotes are just like a picture perfect meal for those guys. Grow Knights are gonna have a fantastic time dealing with Zotes, racking up so much value from those guys. Talk about like value centric cav. Grow Knights so incredibly good for a reason. Maybe the Wood Elf, maybe Loopy here expected some hippogriffs. I don't know what they would have expected, but Zotes, maybe they were just memeing. Or maybe they're testing out Zotes again, seeing if they really are crap. And yes, they still are kind of crap. But they do their best. They do their best with their stone club things, staffs. 1323 here on one of these Knights of the Realm as well. Again, yeah, just fantastic. Heavy cav is just gonna... Wood Elves are gonna struggle immensely against it. They just do not have the capability to charge. You would typically see massive Wild Riders and including the ROR variant, but like it's just really hard to screen out those heavy cav to make sure your shock cav aren't taking the hits, because as soon as they take that hit from one of those heavy cav, they're going to take a lot of damage because of how lightly armored they are. 3482 here on Durthu. Pretty good Flocks of Doom and Sword of Death. No surprise there. Papa Durthu tried his best to carry all of the Wood Elves, but he did he was not able to do enough, though he's insanely good, obviously, 30-42. They got some, okay. Normally this would look okay, but you have to remember, I think Zodes are like 1800 or so. They're insanely expensive. They're like, so the Rot Knights are around that price, and they're much better at that anti-large duty, and they're faster, and they have regen. Zotes, they have a couple bounce spells, whatever. They have dampen, which is again whatever. It doesn't help out. They're more support utility unit, but they're too expensive for a support utility unit. They're treekin, but much more expensive and much worse. Specialized treekin almost. But yeah, they tried their best again, as I said, 11-15, 11-11. I imagine if maybe they were cheaper and had some support with fighting Grow Knights or Knights of the Realm, they could do much better. But here, not so. Not so. At this moment, no. CA do not like Zotes, and they will never give them a cost decrease. But yeah, that goes 4-1 for Butcherbird there. He takes down ODM. He dismantles them. He does insanely good. He will not be taking their famous ODM punishment where they required the player, to change their name or picture to something extremely embarrassing, handpicked by Seagulls himself. So as you can imagine, if Seagulls is picking it, then it's pretty bad. So Butcherbird dodging that very easily. Luckily, he didn't have to deal with Seagulls or Alfredina themselves, because they just weren't around at the time. So he had to just fight TGO and Loopy for his best of 5 trial, and he did pretty good there. He did pretty solid, and maybe Loopy just he wanted to meme a little bit, and he knew at this point that Butcherbird was gonna have an easy time in this matchup either way, so wanted to try something new. But yeah, thanks to Butcherbird for sending me these replays, and congrats to Butcherbird. He is now a full member of ODM, and yeah, it was fun casting days. I'll catch you guys next time with another one. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye bye.